Welcome to the precinct. If you're just joining me for the first time, do me a favor, very, very important favor. Like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and make sure your notification bells are turned on. So when I go on this live stream, you can get notified. Julie, it's very important to like the video. Uh, very, very important for the growth of the channel and the algorithm. Make sure you subscribe when I subscribe, and make sure the notification bells are turned on. Let me check the audio, make sure the audio is working fine. Yes, the audio is working fine. Shout out to everyone in here at the moment. So we're going to talk about, I want to do my top four predictions for the fourth coming season. Yes, before we go into the show properly, let's talk a bit of the news. Right, we saw the news regarding the bid from Monaco for Balogun, which I find very, very funny. I know Balogun is hungry for a move. For some reason, since the preseason, even though we're here in America, Balogun would have not had minutes with the team. It's obvious that he's not going to be part of Mikel Arteta's plans, regardless of some of the fans have been clamoring for him to play more. They rate him above Nketiah, which I find very funny. Like, he played in the French league and scored 20 plus goals. Congratulations to him. We know Lacazette plays in the French league too. Same player that struggled in his last season to make any meaningful impact. So for you to start thinking because he scored 21 plus goals in French league is going to just come into our team and dislodge Jesus, Trossard, even in Nketiah, I find it very, very funny, but it is what it is. I don't think he's good enough. Some of you might disagree with me. I don't just think, Balogun is that player a lot of you are making him to be. He's a good player. Don't get me wrong. But for the levels we want to get to, I'm sorry, I've seen enough from Nketiah to make up my mind. You might disagree. Fair, it's your opinion. But my opinion is I've seen enough to see he's not that player most of you are making him up to be. So Monaco made a bid on this. We don't know the amount that was actually bidded, but Arsenal knocked it back. We know Inter Milan are keenly interested in getting this player, but they are not ready to bid the appropriate money. According to reports, Arsenal want £50 million, which I think is a bit too ambitious. Nobody's going to pay, in my opinion, £50 million for Balogun, not because they don't want to pay, because the European clubs do not have the finances to pay that kind of money. Now, we know the market in England is different. The TV money had made it easy for most clubs in England to have resources. So you can see the way clubs in England actually go to European market and can bring a decent player. You can see likes of Newcastle, even though you can argue they have one of the richest owners, the Arab owners, but because of the FFP rules, they can't just go on a spending spree, but they can go to AC Milan and get on their players. We saw Bayern trying to compete for Declan Rice with Arsenal, which they couldn't do successfully. So the English clubs at this moment are richer financially than most of the clubs in Europe. In turn, so most of the clubs in Europe, once they want, when they want to buy the English players, they do not have the kind of finances the English clubs will be demanding from them. So as much as I would love Inter to buy Balogun and let us get some money for him, but I don't see it. I don't think we can get £50 million from Inter Milan. Neither can we get that from Monaco. So Arsenal might have to drop their price. Arsenal just have to drop their price. They are not getting £50 million. They can hold on to that price tag for now. Let's see. I'm very, very sure when the transfer window begins to wind down, Arsenal might drop their price. The most they can get is for them to actually maybe sell him for excess of 30 million euros or 30 million pounds at most. Then insert maybe a buyback clause or a future sale clause where they can get maybe 40% of future sale, 50% of future sale, 30% of future sale. That is the most they can get. But if Arsenal are thinking they are going to get £50 million from Inter, I'm sorry, that's delusional. I don't think that's achievable. So on the other piece of news, Turner, I'm sure is close to finalizing his move to Nottingham Forest. According to several reports today, He has been granted the permission to do his medical, even though he was with the team yesterday when we won the community shield on penalties. So he has been given permission to do his medical today. And let's see. But I don't know why Arsenal like to be too classy. If I was Arsenal, do what most other clubs do: delay the signing till after we play Nottingham Forest at the weekend. Us giving them, make sure if you're watching the playback, do me a favor by liking the video, very, very important. So most other clubs will have, for me, even though it's a bit of a shithousery, I will not sign off the deal till after we've finished playing Nottingham Forest. I'm not saying we don't have the team to play Nottingham Forest. I understand. On paper, we have the team to beat Nottingham Forest, and I don't think we should struggle against them at home. But why help them? Come on. For some reason, Matona can actually have a fantastic game against us at the Emirates. Come on, let's do what likes of Chelsea we do. For don't sign off the deal till after the match. Sign off the deal on Sunday. But Arsenal like to do the classy, the bigger club. No, we like to do things appropriately. I'm not saying don't do things appropriately, but sometimes a bit of shithousery. Come on, especially when they have the control, you can still do that. Sign off the deal for Matona after we had played him on Saturday. Why is Arsenal in a hurry to get this deal done? We don't actually need the money imminently. Why are they in a hurry to sign off the deal? The likes of Chelsea, we know how they like to play these games. Even West Ham, let's say we're going to play West Ham at the weekend, and we're doing a deal for Declan Rice, hypothetically. You think West Ham will sign off the deal so that Declan Rice can play against them? They will not. So sometimes Arsenal need to actually play these games, but for some reason, we don't like to play these games. But it is what it is. I wish Matona all the best and Nottingham Forest, but I don't wish them the best when we play them on Saturday. I'm sorry. My loyalty stays with Arsenal, so hopefully we'll give them a thumping on Saturday. So let's talk about my top four prediction. Yes. What is the top four prediction? We know a lot of people have been actually been talking about how Manchester City are the overwhelming favorite, which I agree. Yeah, Manchester City are the overwhelming favorite. Doesn't mean another team cannot win the league. And when I mean another team, I mean Arsenal. There's a chance. For me, we have the squad, regardless of what the mainstream and some of the content creators community will not want to admit, because we know there is tribalism in football, and I get it. But it's fun sometimes, even Arsenal fans, even looking at the squad, that this is the best squad we've had since the Invincibles. We have a chance. Defensively, we have options in the midfield, options, even offensively. I get it. Some of you still want a traditional striker. Some of you have a program. Like, if you don't have that prototype of that traditional striker you're used to having, you're still going to feel some type of way, which I don't get. Like yesterday, I made a video regarding Kai Havertz. I think he had a good game. I think he had a good game. But some of you have your agenda. There's nothing Kai can do that can change your opinion of him. And I get it, and I'm not trying to change it, but we can counter it. Right? We can counter it. Kai had a good game yesterday, held up the ball very well. He was a target man. He might not be a hustler like a Jesus. He might not be an Ivan Toney, but in his own way, very stylish. He was quick. He held up the ball. He moved very well to me. So I don't know why people are just fixated on making sure Kai is a flop. Like, I don't get it. I understand Chelsea fans have their own agenda and they might feel some type of way, but it doesn't mean Kai didn't have a good game yesterday. For me, Kai had a very, very decent game yesterday. Very, very good. I'm not saying he had an excellent game. Far from that. But Kai had a good game yesterday. Trossard came in with his cameo and it was good. So if you do not like Kai, that is fair. I'm not trying to change your opinion, especially if you're an agenda. If you don't want to be objective and logical, I am not going to try and change your opinion on Kai. But with the sensible fans who are watching with a clear mind, watching with objectivity, we cannot tell Kai had a good game yesterday. Trossard is a good option. Jesus, we saw him, we've seen him on the on his Instagram story, showing us that the injury is not as severe as a lot of us are trying to make it. Is working. It was even at Wembley yesterday. It was on crutches, meaning in the next few weeks it will be in the gym, and before you know, it will be on grass, then training. So I think we have options. I'm not saying if there's, which I don't see the availability of these conventional little strikers that Arsenal fans are asking for. I don't see it. That is guaranteed, that can guarantee you 20 plus goals. Aside from Hurricane, you know Spurs will not give us Hurricane. We can't get it. Even though next year when we're free, do you think Hurricane want to risk the wrath of the Tottenham fans and come to us now? I will love it. I will love it. I would like it to do a So Campbell 2.0. That will be giddy day for a lot of Arsenal fans. I will love it. But do I think it's possible? It's probable? No, it's not impossible because these players are mercenaries of some sort. But he would not want to risk his legacy, especially in the social media era. We know when Sokambe did it, there was no social media bloom at that time. But right now, if Harry Kane actually turns up at Arsenal, that'll be so. Looking at the squad, the options we have in the attack, Kai, Trossard, even Nketiah that most of you don't rate, which I think we can improve on, but he can still do a job. He came in yesterday, he was stretching the game. So we have options there. Martinelli on the left, Trossard can play there. Rhys Nelson, who is just recovering from his slight toe injury, is still there. So we have Fabio Vieira, who are beginning to say that he's beginning to show a bit of physicality. He's beginning to get into the game. We know his first season was not up to scratch. Now, we know when it comes to Fabio Vieira, technically, he's a good player. Now, physically, that is where a lot of us are like, can he adapt to the English league? Does he have the physicality? Does he have the coyness? Does he have the strength? We can have a debate on that. But when it comes to technically, come on, let's be real. There is a player in there in Fabio Vieira who just needs to bulk up and be more physical about his game. And the last two games, he's showing us signs that he might live up to the physical challenge. He's not looking frail like the previous games, and so I'm liking what I'm seeing in the options we have now. I'm hearing people saying Liverpool will actually be more of a competition of Man City than Arsenal. You know, it's all cap. It's all cap. Like Liverpool last season had one of those seasons where, aside from the fact that they made up a bit at the twilight at the tail end of the season, they had a very, very underwhelming season. So, and they've lost Fabinho. They've lost Henderson, that's experience and relative quality. And now they've brought in Shabosla. They've brought in McAllister in their midfield. Is that enough? So I'm seeing this hype of McAllister from Brighton just going to come to the Liverpool midfield and make them take. I'm not saying he would not actually help them, but with what significance will he raise the levels at Liverpool? We are trying to use what they did, what Liverpool did 3-4 years ago, hoping they can repeat that. It is a home strategy. That's not realistic. I'm sorry. We have seen Liverpool struggle with trying to get the deal for Lavia from Southampton. They are struggling. Now, I remember a few weeks ago when Arsenal seemed to be negotiating the Rice deal. All the media people and the pundits and the content creators were hauling all kinds of derogatory words towards Arsenal. Arsenal are penny pinching. Arsenal are offering derisory fees. Arsenal are haggling. I remember the first offer was 70 million pounds plus add-ons. And a lot of the media people, the fans, call that offer derisory. 70 million pounds plus add-ons is derisory. Liverpool are struggling with 50 million pounds. Nobody's calling their offer derisory. Liverpool are struggling to pay 50 million pounds for a teenager. And nobody's calling that offer derisory. But when Arsenal offered 70 million pounds plus add-ons for Declan Rice, our offer was derisory. I find that very rich. it looks like Arsenal is not a media-friendly club, which is fine, but the double standard is just crazy, even though they claim to be very objective. Liverpool's attack is stacked. Gakpo, Diaz, Nunes, Jota. I think they have a very, very good attack. But the midfield and the defense is where the chink and the cracks are. And nobody is going to tell me Liverpool has a strong enough core or they have enough strength in that team to compete with Arsenal and Manchester City. No, you can't tell me that. Don't tell me the club effect. Can we stop the nonsense? The club is not a deity. Club is not a magician. Stop it. There's nah. You see, if you go by that logic, they shouldn't have had the season they had last time. So what happened to the club effect? Why Liverpool fans and pundits and correspondents keen on Liverpool getting quality players? If it's solely, I'm not saying club doesn't create a system for the players to flourish. I didn't say that. I'm not saying club doesn't have some kind of effect, but let's not embellish or exaggerate this so-called the club effect because it's all cap. Even with Pep, it's all cap. You need quality players to interpret your so-called tactics or effect for them to to materialize on the pitch and win games, win trophies, and qualify for all these games. Let's stop it. Like what club effect? So by that, what happened last season? I was listening to a podcast this morning. Shout out to the Athletic, and I think Nathan Noah was saying something which is true, and a lot of shout out to Nathan Noah, which a lot of us don't want to talk about. He said Stoke were the first team to play 4 center backs in their defense, which is true. But the reason why nobody took notes was because Stoke did not win anything playing those 4 center backs, because those 4 center backs they played across the back line were not top quality. Not Pep, not Arteta. I love Arteta. Stoke were playing. I remember those tall, huge, short cross. I forgot the name of those. They were playing. Stoke were adding police. The defensive police was playing 4 flat center backs at his back 4. But because they were not quality enough and they didn't win anything, nobody took note. Now, Pep does it with quality players. Oh, Pep is a magician. Pep is fantastic. Pep is innovative. Very, very convenient, right? People are pushing this fake untrue narrative that Pep was the one who started playing first. He's not the one. No. Pule started it. I'm sure the other managers have done it. But because Pep did it successfully, let's give all the accolades and the kudos to Pep. This is not me taking a shot at Pep. I think I respect Pep, but let's not embellish it. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Shout out to Gary. Yes, it was Stoke. Exactly. Stoke was doing this. But because they didn't win no trophies or win games consistently or win the league, now everybody was going to give all the glory to Pep. That's why I say, let's not do this. See, Klopp is not a magician. So this nonsense about he's just going to stroll and compete with Man City with the quality of the Man City squad, I am not going to buy it because it's not real. I'm not saying Liverpool are going to fall off the perch and not lay a glove on City. They'll win certain games, but they are not as strong as some of you or the media is making it to seem like. And let's stop overrating these managers. They are great managers in their own right, but they need super players to interpret this system and tactics on the pitch to produce results and win games. So let's calm down. And if you look at the Liverpool squad, it's not as strong as a lot of you are making it to be. They don't even have a proper DNA, but yet they will be the team to come second and give Man City a run for the title. I strongly disagree. Right? I strongly disagree. So if you're going to ask for my top 4 predictions, right? I try not to do no particular order because I have to still review it at the end of the transfer window. But if I'm going to do it right now today. What's today's date? Let me make sure I get today's date very, very clear so I don't make no mistake. Today is Monday, 7th of August. So my top four will be Manchester City overwhelming favorite, even though I think Arsenal could nick it. But due to the experience and the quality of the team and the togetherness of the team, maybe they could shade it. So I could still change it to Manchester City first. I think Arsenal have the squad to go place and compete aggressively. I mean, Arsenal will compete aggressively with Manchester City. Then the third place. Now, coming third is is like there are a lot of saying Manchester United could do it. Yes, Manchester United were third last season, but I don't think Manchester United, if you take away their first 12 players, I don't think they have that squad that can actually compete and be tough. So to actually provide the right word will be give a credible competition to Manchester City and us. I don't think so, because if you look at their back line, Varane and Martinez, their first choice half pairing, right? Aside from those two, who do they have? I know the transfer window has not ended, but right now, who do they have? They have Lindelof and Maguire. Those two are not just good enough. I understand Lindelof can still do a decent job, but Maguire is a disaster waiting to happen. We saw him providing assists for both Manchester United and the team they played at the weekend. So if you look at that, I think aside of the first 12 players, Manchester United might be found out this time. Ten Hag, I understand the media love him. They like to praise him. You know, Manchester United are a media-friendly club, so whatever they do, they are being exaggerated and very embellished. So, but if you look at it objectively, Casemiro as a DM, we know he gets a lot of cards and suspensions. If he's not playing, who is there to actually coming for Casemiro when he gets suspended? Nobody. They're going to sell Fred. I don't see, even though if they bring in Amrabat that a lot of people are raving about, say looking good in one or two matches, looking good at the World Cup is great. But looking good 4 games, looking good in 38 games in a stretch, that is when the kicker is, because it's very easy. People will say, oh, Amrabat busted Declan Rice. He busted against Declan Rice in the Europa. Is it Europa Conference? I think the third cadre of the Champions League. It's not the Europa League. I forgot. It's in the Europa Conference League. I'm sorry, I'm struggling with the name. Right, in that final, yes, he looked better than Declan Rice in that game. It doesn't mean he's going to look better than Declan Rice for 38 games in English Premiership. So let's calm down. There are players that look great in 7 games for the World Cup. Doesn't mean they're going to look great in 38 games. So let's be sensible and let's be logical and let's be smart. It doesn't work that way. So I don't just still think Manchester United are strong enough. They brought in the youngster Holland from Atlanta who barely scored 10 goals, and they are hoping that's the whole strategy. They are hoping he will turn out good. He could turn out good, and he might be a disaster. We saw Martial when they brought him 5 years ago. He was supposed to be the next big thing in France, and we saw how Martial has turned out. So Manchester United, yeah, I'm not sure they're going to be third. For me, the first two right now, based on the quality of the team, based on progression, is Arsenal and Manchester City. From third and fourth is a struggle for me to predict, because even though people are just shoving away Brighton, I think Brighton are assembling a good team. I'm not saying they are better than Manchester United, because Manchester United is a bigger club, a bigger brand. But look at the signings Brighton have made. They bought the striker Pedro. I think that's his name from Watford. Very decent striker. Even though he played in Championship, he's a very decent striker. They have Ferguson who has been there. They have Maitoma. They have Isinio. They have some in the attacking phase of the Brighton team. Let's be fair. The attacking three of Brighton, are they as good as the attacking three of Manchester United? Now, we know Rashford is hot and cold. Rashford can play a great season today. The next season he flop. The next season He plays great. Next season is flop. So let's be fair and let's be balanced. The attacking quartet of Brighton at this moment, they look better than that of Manchester United. But even though Manchester United are the bigger club, so coming third, based on experience, is a tough one. But I'll give it to United. Now, the fourth place for me, I don't think Liverpool will make top four. Some of you might not agree with me. Let me read this chat from Oxymoto. Shout out to Oxymoto, City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and United. I don't think okay, that's your opinion. Shout out to Oxymoto for being a chat. Guys, don't forget to like the video, very important. Subscribe and not subscribe. I don't think Liverpool will make it. Now Liverpool have a very exciting attack. I just think their midfield and defense is porous. Van Dijk is not the same Van Dijk anymore. Van Dijk is on his last legs. Since he came back from that ACL injury, Van Dijk has not been himself. He has been using maturity and vibes to play. He's not the same Van Dijk. And we've seen it consistently with players after they do their ACL, they don't come back the same. So I don't think Van Dijk is that same Van Dijk anymore. He will still play some good games. I'm not saying he's going to be horrible across, but calm down. But I don't think he will be the same guy we expect him to be. And Konate, his partner, I think is a young, bright defender, but he has his injury worries too. He cannot string 6-7 games together without getting injured. Konate cannot stay fit, right? So at the right back for Liverpool, we know Trent. Come on, open season. He's not a right back. Yes, he does the attacking and providing assist from the right back position, but when you attack him, he is not. Robinson has been so for the last 2 seasons. So I don't think Liverpool, they have the name, they've done it before, but I don't think they're equipped to do what a lot of people are predicting them to do. So for me, my top four is City, Arsenal. I'll just sneaking United there. And I think this will be a controversial one. I think Brighton. I think Brighton are a good team. A lot of you would think I'm out of my mind, but I think Brighton could do it. I know they're playing in Europe. They are building a squad depth. They just signed a defender from the Brazilian defender they signed. I can't remember the club they signed from, but they just signed a defender. They have good midfielders. Even though if they sell Caicedo today, I trust Brighton to go to a conveyor belt and bring in another quality, cheaper midfielder. So for me, that's my top four. But I'll still do a review after a transfer window because things could still happen. Chelsea can still strengthen. Liverpool can still buy DM or buy 1 or 2 players. City can still buy more players. Arsenal can still buy more players. But as of 7th of August 2023, for me, my top four will be City, Arsenal, United, and Brighton. And I'm sure some of you watching this on the playback will say, "Wow, Brighton! Wow. I think they're a very good team. They are building a good team." Just like a lot of people 2 or 3 years ago, when they saw Arsenal were building something good, they turned their nose like, "Nah, Arsenal can't do it." You could see how Brighton play. They're a possession team. They stay within their realm. They buy quality players. They not replace their players. And I think they have a good attack and their defense is not porous too. So yeah, Oxymoto comes and says, what about Newcastle? I think Newcastle have not strengthened well. I think they'll struggle with combining the English Premiership and the UEFA Champions League. I think Newcastle will struggle there. They've not brought in quality on the bench, in my opinion. And they asked about Villa. Villa, for me, Unai Emery has shown over the years in Spain and all that. Now, I understand Unai Emery won the league in France. Who would not win the league in France with PSG? Come on, every even Pochettino, who was struggling to win anything substantial in England, goes to PSG and win. So for me, Unai Emery is a better cup manager. I won't be surprised if he wins the Europa League. I would not be surprised if he wins the Carling Cup or the FA Cup. For me, Unai Emery is one of the best cup manager available on the market. But when it comes to the league, 38 games, that is when Unai Emery suffers, in my opinion. We saw him when he was at Arsenal, right? When it comes to that consistently playing against teams that are familiar with him, he suffer. But when it comes to cup games, he's very tactical, he's very astute. But when it comes to playing the long stretch, I do not trust Una Emery. So that is I think they made decent signing. They brought in Tillemans, they brought in Paul Torres will shop their defense. Last year they had Diego Carlos, who unfortunately suffered that ACL injury. I don't know what form is going to come back. We should be, and they still have defenders like the English guy. They have forgotten his name. The tall English guy. They have some decent defenders. They have Buendia. They have Holly Watkins. For me, the Villa team is a strong team, but I don't trust Emery to be able to manage them in the league. But when it comes to the cup games, I think Emery could actually nick a cup. But when it comes to the league, I don't trust. It doesn't mean he will not be among the first eight. I think Villa can still make it to the first eight, but first four, first six, I do not think so. So, guys, that is my top four predictions for the league. I had to just do a short live stream. If you're watching this on the playback, subscribe, like the video, and share the video, and make sure you turn on notification bells. I appreciate you guys for coming through. Oxymoto, Gary Smith, shout out to you guys for coming through. Even though it's a short stream, I have to do the short stream. I should come back with a more elongated stream. I think on Wednesday and Thursday, I'll be doing the preview. Guys, join us here. I and Efosa will be here to do the preview to the Nottingham Forest match on Thursday. Do not miss that one. That'll be more elongated and more prolonged. So shout out to everybody for coming through. Like the video. Shout out to you, Oxymoto. I really appreciate you for making it very interactive. So, guys, make sure you like and subscribe. Very, very important. Make sure you turn on your channel bells on, and I'll see you guys next time. Good night. Ciao.